Not every food is as harmless as it looks on the plate. Some cheeses go far beyond a simple snack, and certain types of honey hide effects that are far from just sweet and healthy. There are foods that can cause hallucinations, paralysis, coma, and even fatal consequences. For some cultures, eating them is part of tradition. For others, the attraction lies precisely in the risk. The curious part is realizing that ingredients that seem completely ordinary can put the human body into extreme situations. That's why today, I've gathered 8 of the most dangerous foods in the world that you should think twice before trying. So-called mad honey is produced when bees collect nectar from rhododendron plants in the mountains of Turkey and Nepal. Certain species of these plants naturally produce a toxin known as grayanotoxin. This toxin works as a defense mechanism for the plant. Once carried into the honey after bees gather nectar from these flowers, the substance remains active. When humans consume it, it interferes with sodium channels in nerve cells, altering the functioning of the nervous system and the heart. In small amounts, it can cause relaxation and mild euphoria. In larger doses, it leads to severe dizziness, low blood pressure, nausea, blurred vision, and mental confusion. Even though it's sold as a natural stimulant in some regions, the line between traditional use and poisoning is extremely thin. In Jamaica, Ackee is considered the national fruit and is part of the traditional dish Ackee and saltfish. It can be eaten in different meals, but there is one essential rule. It must only be consumed when it ripens naturally and opens on its own on the tree. When harvested unripe or forced open, it contains high levels of hypoglycin A, a toxin that interferes with the body's ability to produce glucose. This can cause a sudden drop in blood sugar, leading to a condition known as Jamaican vomiting sickness. Symptoms include intense vomiting, extreme weakness, sweating, seizures, and in severe cases, coma. In the past, outbreaks occurred in rural areas before knowledge about proper harvesting became widespread. Today, correct preparation is part of local culture, but ignoring the process still represents serious danger. Nutmeg has been part of cooking for centuries and, in small quantities, is safe. The problem begins when it stops being just a seasoning. The seed of the Myristica fragrans tree contains psychoactive compounds that, in large doses, affect the central nervous system. The effects do not appear immediately. They can take hours to manifest, which leads many people to underestimate the consumption. But when they arrive, they include disorientation, rapid heartbeat, intense nausea, panic, and severe distortions in the perception of time. In extreme cases, the substance can trigger a prolonged delirious state lasting more than 24 hours, leaving the person severely weakened and physically drained. Clinical cases have reported patients seeking emergency care believing they were in life-threatening danger. What makes it even more unsettling is that this is not some obscure substance found in distant forests. It is sitting quietly on a kitchen shelf next to everyday spices, something so ordinary yet capable of turning into a serious case of poisoning and a medical emergency. Casu Marzu, a traditional cheese from Sardinia, begins with a normal preparation, but then it is deliberately left exposed so the fly Piophila casei can lay its eggs. The larvae hatch and feed on the cheese's fat, accelerating fermentation and leaving the texture extremely soft. For local producers, the ideal moment for consumption is while the larvae are still alive. If they die beforehand, the product is discarded as spoiled. There is also a rare risk of intestinal meiosis if the larvae survive digestion, and for sanitary reasons, its sale has been banned in the European Union, although it is still informally sold. If you never imagined a simple cheese could involve that much risk, leave a like and subscribe for more surprising curiosities. Hákarl is made from Greenland shark, a species that inhabits cold waters and accumulates urea and trimethylamine oxide in its body, substances that act as natural antifreeze. If eaten raw, it can cause severe poisoning, with symptoms similar to extreme alcohol intoxication followed by toxic effects. To make it safe, the meat is buried for months in sandy ground to ferment and then hung to dry in ventilated sheds for several more weeks. This process reduces toxins but results in food with a strong ammonia smell. Even with the intense odor, it is served at festivals in Iceland as a cultural symbol and heritage from ancestors. Sannakji is a traditional dish in South Korea prepared with extremely fresh octopus cut shortly before serving. Because the nervous system is distributed throughout the tentacles, they continue moving even after being cut. After seasoning, it is served almost immediately, keeping the suction cups active. If not chewed properly, they can attach to the mouth and throat, creating a risk of airway obstruction. Every year, there are reported cases of suffocation related to improper consumption. Even so, it is considered a sophisticated gastronomic experience for many, and part of the experience lies in the challenge. Fugu is prepared from pufferfish, which contains tetrodotoxin, one of the most powerful neurotoxins known. This substance blocks nerve signal transmission and causes progressive paralysis. The first signs are usually numbness in the lips and tingling on the tongue. Then comes loss of motor coordination until paralysis reaches the arms, legs, and respiratory muscles. The person remains conscious while losing movement. There is no specific antidote, and treatment depends on respiratory support until the body eliminates the toxin. In Japan, only licensed chefs are allowed to prepare it after rigorous training. Parts such as the liver and ovaries contain the highest levels of poison and are prohibited for consumption. Even so, specialized restaurants are full during the season. Sarpa Salpa is a very common fish in the Mediterranean and has been commercially sold for centuries. Its appearance suggests no danger at all. The risk appears when at certain times it consumes algae that accumulate natural toxins. These toxins pass into the flesh without changing smell or taste. When ingested, they can trigger a rare condition called ichthyolinotoxism. Unlike ordinary food poisoning, the effects include vivid hallucinations, a sense of being watched, and distorted perceptions inside one's own home. There are recorded cases in France and Italy of people spending hours believing they were being observed or threatened. In ancient Rome, there are historical accounts suggesting that the fish was intentionally consumed at certain banquets to induce visions. Today, most cases are accidental, and the most concerning part is that there's no visual way to tell when the fish is contaminated since it looks completely normal. Tell me in the comments if you would dare try any of these foods. And did you know high heels were originally created for men? I explain everything in the next video.